So we've all seen those crazy clips from top tier oppers like Simple and Zywoo and wanted to try the op ourselves. Whenever you pick up the big green, things seem to go a little differently. So what are you doing wrong? What's up, ProGuides fam? Kangas here, and in today's video, I'm going to show you the top 10 tips to make you a better opper. The op is a staple in the CSGO meta, and when used correctly, it can be devastating. So without further ado, let's get into it.
There's hundreds of different ways to play CSGO, but with the op, you only really need two. There's those that play super aggressive and surprise the enemy with a fast push, and on the flip side, the more passive players who hold an important angle for a while and wait for the enemies to walk in front of your crosshair. As with an AR, AWPing has a similar idea of active and reactive aiming. Those of you with a low sensitivity will generally use the op to slowly clear angles when pushing towards a site, and those who play with more high sensitivity will be pushing out and getting those fast shots onto enemies that peek out. There is a slight problem though. When pushing out with the op, if you play too aggressively with an active aim style, there's literally no room for error. If you miss that shot, there's a high chance you're dead. That's why many oppers on T-side will play a more passive style, clearing angles slowly and making sure not to be surprised by a player hiding in a corner. Another factor of learning what type of opper you are is the age-old debate of single versus double scoped. When holding an angle with the op, this is the biggest decision to make, and the answer is mainly based on your reaction time. If you're like me and don't have the fastest reaction time, I advise you hold angles with a single scope. This means when enemies run across your screen, you have enough time to adjust to the angle that they're in and get the kill. But if you're a player with super quick reaction times and you're confident enough to get that kill the second that they peek out, use double scope for sure. Double scope means there's less chance you'll miss the shot based on accuracy due to the fact that the target will be larger in your scope. But obviously, there's a risk with the double scope. If they run out too fast for you to hit them and you miss the shot, you may be in for a really rough time as they know exactly where you are and can easily kill you. If you're struggling with finding out which playstyle of opper is best suited for you, go check out our courses and speak with one of our coaches as they're ready to help you out. And even better, you can get 25% off when using code FPS25. And that brings us to our question of the day. What's your favorite glove and knife combo? Make sure to give us yours in the comments down below. One problem with many oppers is being static and playing the same angle. This tip is making sure that you're constantly on the move and therefore harder to kill. Many players at both low and high ranks will sometimes call for a fast push. If you're holding the angle that can get overwhelmed easily, best case scenario, you get one kill, unless of course you get a nice collateral. So when the team is fast pushing and you're holding with an op, you have to make sure that you get your first kill and fall back instantly. Most of the enemies will be grouped up on a rush, and if you don't move, the delay between your shots will definitely cost you. You have to be ready to get that kill, move back behind cover, and then be ready to get the next one. A perfect example of this is when T-side is rushing B on Mirage. A great position to hold with the op is on Van. You're able to see deep into the apartments, which means when they rush, you can get the first kill and have enough time to move back. A great route that I always go when playing B-side on Mirage with an op is getting that first kill on Van, moving back towards the close pillar of sight and holding window. Then after getting the next kill, moving to the pillar behind you and hold the balcony push. This sequence is perfect, as in each of these setups, you're in a new position holding a new angle. Once an enemy thinks they know where you are, they'll either try to kill you or just stay away from you. That's why if you stay in the same position, enemies are going to run towards you and try to get that op off your hands. So if you move instead, you're being safe for the time being. Holding a new angle is good, as the players who are trying to stay out of your line of sight will jump out of the window and won't expect you to be looking at them. This combination of repositioning and holding different angles is one of the major tips needed to become a better opper. Sometimes when using an op, it's unclear on whether you should peek and re-peek. Hopefully this tip gives you more information about this topic specifically. When peeking different angles with an op, you have to make sure it's the most favorable angle for you to peek. For example, if you don't have the best spawn for middle, it's quite high risk to peek out without a smoke or flash grenade to help you out. Sometimes you could still peek with a bad spawn, have a disadvantage, and still get away with the kill. This may seem good as you might win the round off it, but it will put you into bad habits. Make sure when peeking these angles, especially ones held by an opper, you do it in the most favorable way. Another example of this is when pushing out a palace on A site with an op. You've got to make sure jungle is smoked, and there's a high chance a CT player holding palace from the jungle position. When peeking this angle without a jungle smoke, you run the risk of being picked off in an untradeable position, making the round much easier for the CTs. And the same goes for CT ticket. Pushing with an op can be great as long as you got map control and are now in a position to hold the T side back. But if you do this at the wrong time or in the wrong place, you may just cost your team the round. Using an op isn't always about getting the difficult kills, but usually about making sure you get the easy ones. The next tip is all about economy and how to manage it. When playing the role of an opper, you have to have great economy knowledge. For example, you must track how much money your whole team has, and you do not want to buy an op when your team is on an eco round. Speaking of eco rounds, you may no longer have the chance to get a deagle, some armor, and maybe a piece of util, as it all costs around 2,000. This is because the difference between a rifle and an op is 2,000 itself. You have to make sure that in these eco and half-buy rounds, you play with nearly nothing. Usually an opper will use a P250 with no armor in these types of rounds. The reason for this is, to become a better opper, you must use the op as much as you can. So instead of getting a strong half buy or eco, which you have a high chance of losing anyway, you'll get a much stronger full buy in a round where it matters. This means you can use the op at every opportunity possible. Another part of economy that you're going to have to keep track of as an opper is the enemy team economy. If you know that the enemy teams are going to be on eco, it's a much smarter idea to buy an SMG or a rifle, as you know the enemy team may push as 5, making it really difficult to play the round with an op anyway. After this round, you now have enough money to get yourself an op and also know that the enemies are on full buy. This is when the op is most favored, as there's a low chance of getting fully rushed and losing that op. Movement and mobility is another key factor of being a great opper. There will be times when you missed your shot and you'll have to quickly strafe jump behind cover to not die. Then hopefully repeat and hit your shot while your enemy is pushing you. This tip links well to number 2 about repositioning when fighting. You need to get from point A to point B after hitting your shot as fast as you can to make sure that you have enough time to hold another angle. Having good movement and mobility will definitely help you do so. Mobility is the ability to quickly switch to your knife and get behind cover before the enemy has even peeked you. This is a combination of map knowledge, weapon switching, and movement in conjunction. Once you have mastered this technique and ability to get away from fights and reposition, you'll be a dangerous player with an op in hand. As I said before, some players will be able to hit the hardest shots in the game, but if you can get yourself in a good position in time, your shots will seem effortless and kills will become easy. Sometimes you'll be in a difficult situation when using the op, where having a rifle such as the AK would just be a lot better. In these times, the best way to get out is by using your utility. For example, if you hear 2 enemies pushing you from either side, the best thing to do is throw a quick smoke blocking off one angle, isolating the fight from a 1v2 to 2 1v1s. Due to the fact that the op has waiting time between shots, this is essential. Sometimes you need to re-peek an angle with an op because you can't give control of a part of the map. For example, when playing window on CT Mirage, most players will throw a flashbang outside the window from a safe position to try and re-peek. You may see players do this all the time, but remember, flashbangs are most effective the closer they are to the enemy. This is why after flashing out the window, you may re-peek middle and the enemy isn't blind. Make sure to throw your flash much deeper towards top mid, or get a teammate playing on short A or sight to flash mid for you. Re-peeking an angle without a flash is the best way to get yourself killed and lose the chance to use that op. This is a rookie mistake that many players at the lower ranks will make, so if you're one of those and you want to rank up with the op, make sure to take notes. This leads nicely on from the last, as this is about communicating with teammates when using your op. For example, asking teammates to flash for you. Another great way to use the op that will help you out a lot in rounds is opping with your teammates. One great way for both you and your teammates to get kills is making sure your teammate is close to you. As enemies know the op has downtime after firing, they will likely push you after you shoot. This is why when playing close to a teammate with a rifle, it means after you fire, you can hide behind cover as your teammate swings the angle from a different position than where you just shot from. This will surprise your enemies as they're expecting an op to peek and definitely not a rifle. This can also be done the same with your teammates when they're holding the angle. Having a good amount of necessary communication will help you gather information and therefore knowing what angles to hold with the op. This will be insanely beneficial for the game due to the op's importance in Counter-Strike. Get creative. The benefit of using the op is that you hold the power of the round in your hands, and the best way to use that power is to be as creative as you can. There's many positions that enemies will instantly assume an opper is holding. For example, both window and top mid on Mirage, most players will be scared to peek because of the op. This means you can challenge your opponents from a different angle, which will keep it fresh and make you unpredictable. On CT side, instead of playing window, switch it up a bit, and maybe play a couple rounds from connector or on short. This change of playstyles makes it really difficult for the enemy to counter you as you're constantly changing how you play. This also means that they won't know where to smoke or throw pieces of util towards you as you may not be there. The op is a powerful weapon, so make sure to use it right in a way that the enemies have no chance of getting it off your hands. On tip number 9, it's all about using your pistol when playing with the op and some information about the best sidearms to use. Sometimes you just won't have the chance to back off when using the op. This is mainly due to poor positioning, but sometimes you just get unlucky. This means that after firing your op, you're stuck, and you must switch to your trusty sidekick, the pistol. There are certain pistols that are better and worse to switch to when using the op. For example, the USP and Desert Eagle are both bad choices. Yes, they're high in damage and can be one-hit guns, but their limited ammo and bad accuracy when moving make them really bad to use when accompanied with the op. The CZ is also a bad weapon. It's very good at close range and has the ammo for it, but as everyone knows, it's the slowest pistol to pull out and start shooting. When you're getting pushed, you need a gun that's a fast switch to fire speed. This is why I recommend using either the P250 or the 5.7. P250 has the second fastest switch to fire of any pistol, very fast rate, and is also pretty cheap. But when you're flush with cast on the CT side, maybe the 5.7 is a better choice due to its increased ammo capacity and higher damage. So now you know what gun to use, make sure to become the best with it. So that means practice with the weapons, as you're going to use them a lot more than you think. Saving your op is so important when playing CS. It's one of the most expensive weapons in the game, so make sure that you don't waste your money. If you feel like a round is too difficult to win, just cut your losses and try to win the next round. This gun costs $4,750, plus the armor and utility that you have. Make sure you don't waste that by pushing and dying unnecessarily. Many oppers will feel they save in many of the rounds, but this is also something that you're going to have to do. It keeps your economy high, and you'll be able to help your team on the more difficult rounds.
So remember, hold your ankle, breathe, and don't buy it every round that you have 5K, and you'll get there, guys. But hey, if you're still struggling with the op after this video, go check out our website, ProGuides.com, where our expert coaches and courses can help you improve. I mean, who better to learn opping from than Simple himself? Use the promo code FPS25 for 25% off at checkout. That's it for the video, though, so good luck grinding, everybody, and have a wonderful day.